There's so much that I love about what I do, but the two biggest myths I want to debunk. One is you don't need anybody out there. You've got everything that you need inside. And the second thing is you can have peak performance and well-being. Don't ask if, ask how, and then work on that. I think better than having all the answers, it's amazing to ask the right questions. And that's what coaching offers.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is a certified performance and well-being coach, hypnotherapist, among many other expertises. With us today is Georgina Halabi. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm happy and well. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Absolutely. So tell us about your journey. What were you doing before? How did this kind of bring you into what you're doing now?
So before I used to work in advertising agencies and marketing technology companies. I started off in direct marketing. This is how old I actually am. And about 6 years ago, I was living in Singapore. I lived there for 18 years. I now live in the UK, but I was in a meeting and I literally had it was like I stepped out of my own body and I thought, I'm not helping anyone. I'm selling loyalty platforms in a saturated market. What am I doing here? And the same week I signed up for coaching to get my diploma, to get my qualifications. I carried on working part-time, but when COVID hit, I basically said to the company, I said, I'm out. I want to be coaching full-time. If you want me to help coach the teams, I'm happy to do that. And incredibly, they went, yeah, okay. So that year, I actually worked with them for a little bit, but then I really launched out on my own. I read this quote, I think it was Tony Robbins that said, may the boats that I burn light the way. And I was like, I'm going to go full on coaching. And I had a very specific brief. I want to earn this much money and I want to be working 20 hours a week. So instead of asking, can I do this? I asked, how can I do this? And I got very focused on that. What skills do I need to upgrade? What areas do I need to focus on? I spent a lot of time thinking and going slow so that I could run fast. It's got to be one of the most amazing years of my life. I pretty much said yes to so much. I learned and I grew. And even though it was COVID, it was just amazing. So here I am 6 years later. I work with leaders and executives, founders, and really it's all about having peak performance and well-being, not one at the expense of the other. And it's been really important for me because I've always had a hyperachiever tendency, but it's always been really necessary for me to have that inner peace, outer success, inner peace. And I think you need both. You can't have one without the other, right?
Absolutely. That's an incredible journey. Love to hear how you kind of got into what you're doing. And it's so true that trying to manage that peak performance without burning out, that's a new concept for me. I'm just all go, go, go. And then I burn out. I need a nap. I need 3 days off. But then I'm back later. How do we find this balance? This is new to me.
So to me, there's two aspects to that. One is how you're spending your physical time, right? Running around and trying to jam in too much. Now I'll look at my time and go, okay, all meetings on one day, I'll back to back them. And then certain days I will have off, right? Make sure I can go to the gym or do whatever. So some of it is structural. You get really intentional with your time. It's like, where am I now? Where do I want to be? What needs to go? What can I do about it? The other part is, of course, your mindset, because often overwhelm lives in the mind. You could be at home spending a really peaceful time, but your brain is in turmoil and you're thinking of all the million things that you have to do and you're overwhelmed. You could be overwhelmed without even getting out of the bed in the morning. So slowing it down and becoming aware of your thoughts and noticing the response it has on your emotions, on your energy, and on your behavior. That's the real area of interest to me. So once you're able to start observing your thoughts, you get to slow it down. You need a pattern interrupt. Instead of go, 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 overwhelm, you go, what's the thought that's creating that overwhelm? You start to get really curious about it. My particular level of overwhelm is, I'm not going to have the energy or I'm not going to have the time. Better not be too successful. Better not be not successful, right? It's a bit of a tightrope. And I'm like, where is this belief coming from? I've got lots of time. I've got lots of energy. How do I want to use it? That's the more interesting question. So it's really about arresting or becoming aware of the thoughts and changing the narrative, looking at the beliefs behind that and reframing them.
So the mindset can kind of go into our perception, our attitude, and this can shape our reality and how we interact with each other and how we communicate, how we live our lives really affects us. Considering just the craziness that goes on in the world, the uncertainty, some panic, some people have anxiety, just the current going on, what can people do to kind of free their mind and not fall into that trap of the constant worry and anxiety and live a more free and fulfilling life with their mindset?
Okay, so big subject here, but basically our mind is wired to threat. It really is wired to our threat. We have 85% of our thoughts are negative, and it's really there to try and protect us, right? To try and protect us from being eaten by a woolly mammoth, but equally nowadays to protect us from being disrespected, to protect us from uncertainty. Our mind, even just thinking about uncertainty or being treated unfairly or the injustice of the world. Think about something now. Get everyone in the audience, think about something now that feels threatening to you. And there's so much out there, right? If you've got a mobile phone, it chases you around. Firefighting first thing in the morning. And as you think about it, what do you notice happening in your body? Chris, what do you notice happening in your body?
I'm getting super tense.
Super tense, right? What else? Where can you feel and how can you feel super tense?
Well, I feel my mind racing, and that kind of takes over everything else. And I start fidgeting, and I start looking I might start pacing.
Yeah, right? You're having a physiological response just from the idea of a thought. Have you ever had one of those conversations in your mind where you're posturing to the other person, and then I should say to them, and your hands tense up and you get into a bit of a boxer stance? You're having a fight that is completely fictitious. There's overwhelm.
There it is.
Yes. Imagine we have these thoughts before we actually go and have a conversation. The other person doesn't really stand a chance. So our beliefs and our thoughts and how they present in our mind affect how we show up, affect the outcomes that we have because we're projecting. Have you ever really had a conversation where you've not listened, you've just sort of waited for your turn to speak? I do that all the time. Not when I'm coaching, but I notice it. It's a really bad habit. And so we are so busy with our own thoughts that we're not really in the present moment. So the thing that you can do if you really want to have the right mindset to take the right actions to create those outcomes that you want in your life is start becoming aware of the nonsense on a loop in your head. Easy to say, but how do you know that it's happening? Because you're having some sort of physical response. You know that you're feeling some sort of negative emotion, right? If you're feeling negative emotions, you're being hijacked. Your brain is in an anxiety loop or a stress loop or a threat response loop, and it's going to go one way. You're going to get defensive or angry or whatever. This is a groove in our mind. And the only way that you can stop that is go, oh, that's interesting. I've just caught myself and I've watched myself. You rewind it and there's a thought there. That person's out to get me, or I'm going to get overwhelmed or whatever. That thought might come in as a visual, or it might come in as an auditory, right? But you're more auditory, Chris. You might have like a voice in your head going, don't go there, whatever that is. And then we respond. So you notice that thought, you step back and you go, interesting. Where did that thought come from? Does it serve me? If it serves me, great. If it doesn't serve me, you're already in a witness position. You're in a space of objectivity. What's something else I can do? Because you know how you show up is going to impact the outcome. So what if I came in and I assumed the best of intentions, or I assumed that I can explore something and I don't have to go through with it? Or we talked about having that, oh, stuff it mentality. Why not? Right? Anybody in that mentality is going to show up very different. That's a growth mentality. You show up in a certain way with a certain mindset, you behave differently, you create different outcomes, but it comes back down to watching your thoughts, noticing the emotional response. You don't have to behave that way. And every single time you do like this in hypnotherapy, we call it a pattern interrupt. Not that this, every single time we do that, we create new neural pathways in our brain. And you can see them form under a microscope. It doesn't take long. And then that becomes the groove that you travel in. You become less stressed. You become less anxious. Try just before you get out of bed in the morning, just taking a couple of breaths and feeling the blanket on your body and the pillow behind your head, and just taking a couple of deep breaths and going, I feel really grateful today. Try starting the day off with like a positive mindset. Get out of bed the right side instead of the wrong side. And when you notice that you're feeling those levels of anxiety, just take a moment, take 3 deep breaths. Watch your thoughts. Because the other thing is, you are not your thoughts. We all have an inner judge in there that's utterly horrible, ruthless. You wouldn't take advice from your best friend. You don't have to listen to your thoughts. And emotions are just data. between your mind and body, following that groove. You can watch them. You can indulge. You don't have to.
Absolutely. And speaking of the mind body connection, there's been new science, there's new philosophy, there's new ideas behind how our body and our mind interact and our gut work together. Do you have any information behind that? Is there credibility to it, or is this just a wives' tale?
No, there's definitely, this is the new frontier of medicine. So our mind and our body are definitely connected. That's not new. This is age-old wisdom. You go into Hinduism or Buddhism, it's all connected. But in the West, we're finally catching on. And so, yes, our gut is considered our second mind. And there is deep science behind that. Loads of books that you can go and read. Do you want to hear like a really gory story?
I'm all for it. Yeah, bring it on.
Okay, so to give you an example of how your mind and your gut is connected together, pregnant women aren't supposed to be around cat litter. Do you know why?
I don't know without Googling.
Okay, there is a certain virus or there is a certain bacteria, something in cat litter that comes out from the intestines of cats. And what it does is it creates some sort of change in the brain of mice, right? Mice eat this stuff, and instead of running away from cat, they end up going, oh, look, there's a cat. Oh, how lovely. And it will go towards the cat. The cat eats the mouse or the rat or whatever it is. And that's how that bacteria or that virus is transmitted from the gut of one cat to the gut of another cat, which is its natural survival. So you've got something that goes in and is ingested by this mouse that changes its very chemical makeup to make it change its mind from danger to love. Maybe we need a bit more of that in this world.
Absolutely. Goodness, if
Yeah.
only everyone could just eat cat litter, how much of a
Yeah.
better world this could be. Just the after effects that it would change for us.
Let's do that for all our politicians. Media. Brilliant.
Here, have this cookie. I made it just for them.
Pink cookie.
It's ballet
You're your marketers.
for flavor. Now, Georgina, where can people find out more about you and get connected with you online?
So georginahalabi.com. You'll share the link, won't you, Chris? I haven't talked so much about what I do, which is sort of the peak performance coaching and mindfulness courses. I've got a whole load of stuff on my blog, free mindfulness courses if you're interested. I've got loads of free workshops from imposter syndrome to time and energy optimization. And if you are curious about how coaching can help you, I also have an invite if you want to have a discovery session with me. So deep, powerful coaching. But I would say only do this if you're really serious, because I believe every conversation can change a life. And I ask people to honor my time in taking me up on that offer. But yeah, there we go.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will have those links available down in the show notes and the description for everybody. Georgina, we want to give you at least 2 minutes to take the floor if you want anything else you want to share with our audience about what you do, how you help, anything you want.
Oh, okay. My main message is we all have everything that we need inside us. The journey that I take my clients on isn't really about creating new skills or getting them to be somebody that they're not. It's really about letting go of all of the crap that we load on ourselves, all of these beliefs that stop us being curious and playful, that make us self-conscious. So to me, it's the process of letting go and going inwards and trusting. And I started meditating from the age of 16. I thought, let's give it a go. Let's try it out. And for me, I've had all of the answers inside every single time I go. So meditation is incredibly powerful. You just get people started, they find their own answers. But not everybody wants to meditate with me. So I also work with a lot of hyper-rational, very sort of hyper-achieving business people, in which case I sort of use the tools that they need to sort of help slow down their mind enough that they could be objective and go, what would really be helpful here? How am I getting in my own way? How am I becoming a bottleneck? How can I communicate more effectively? And basically, you're taking away the edge of fear and helping them lean into resistance and also be a lot more strategic with their time, energy, and focus. There's so much that I love about what I do, but the biggest myth, the two biggest myths I want to debunk. One is you don't need anybody out there. You've got everything that you need inside. And the second thing is you can have peak performance and well-being. Don't ask if, ask how, and then work on that. I think better than having all the answers, it's amazing to ask the right questions. And that's what coaching offers.
Absolutely, Georgina. Very well said. We appreciate it. And just a message from our sponsors for those who want to get found and get in front of your ideal client, get more booked meetings and clients on your calendar, visit focus-biz.com. Georgina, so excited and appreciate you sharing your time with us today. Thank you so much. Congratulations on everything you're doing and look forward to your future success.
Thanks, Chris. And good luck, all of you.